Everybody, and welcome to 4K4U. I am Tom Connors, and welcome to the program. With me tonight is one of my co-hosts, anyway, Valliant Renegade. How you doing?
Doing good. Good to be back live at 5 on a Wednesday. Man, we got a lot of stuff.
Yes, we do. And the other co-host would be Greg of FanZcene. How are you doing?
Doing good. Glad to be here with you guys.
Yeah, we don't want to waste too much time this time because we got a lot to talk about.
Yes.
We've had a lot of releases in the last 2 weeks. We're going to get into some of those as well. Some pros and cons and everything in between. Yep. But a real quick announcement before we do get rolling here today. We've decided that we're going to try and experiment. And from here on out, we're going to start an hour later than this time. So keep that in mind, kids. We will be starting an hour later than this time from here on out and seeing how that rolls. So keep that in mind. But with that, we got a super chat right off the bat from Gabe A, who says, 2 actors I would love to see together is Robin Williams and John Candy. Oh gosh, that would have been a heck of a movie, I think.
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
Too bad those two never really got to work together, though.
Yeah. That would have been something special. I mean, it is weird that they never got to have some kind of on-screen presence at any point in time. That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if they ever even a movie in the same movie, but I swear I don't think they've even done that.
Yeah, so, yeah. If at all, it might be a voices. Maybe I don't think so. Though.
Nothing offhand is ringing a bell. But,
yeah, nothing.
Yeah, and as Stephanie points out, they are technically now. That's true.
Yes.
So with that, let's get this show on the road because there are so many announcements and rumors now that we have to go through that. I think that's going to take the bulk of the beginning of the program here. And then we all, I think, watched some of the newer movies that have come out in the last couple of weeks, which I'd have to say, this is one of the biggest couple of weeks we've ever had for 4K releases.
Yes,
ever.
Yes, it is.
I mean, the stack of movies that have come out in the last few weeks here is crazy.
It's insane. And I'm sorry for having to make you wait on some of those, Tom.
Yeah, because you forced me to watch Scream, and I actually had to turn around and rent Scream 2022 because for some reason it's not on Paramount Plus anymore.
That's crazy because it's already did its whole little theater and run and all that.
It's not on any streaming service, so I had to rent it. I was not going to pay $15 to buy it. I'm like,
yeah, I don't blame you, but I do apologize for that.
That's all right. I just knew I needed to watch it again, but I know Valiant, you got a chance to catch some of the newer films that are out there as well. Yeah, we'll talk about that here soon. But let's get into the exciting announcements and all that stuff. Why don't we?
All right. You want to start with all the Vinegar Syndrome stuff first?
Let's do that.
Yeah. Okay. So Vinegar Syndrome's October releases, which you can actually order now. We're getting Don't Open Till Christmas, crazy horror flick set around Christmas time. We're getting in 4K The Werewolf vs. Vampire Woman. That just the cover alone, if you guys can see that, it looks amazing. I don't even know what that's about. It just sounds cool right off the bat. Also, Moon of the Wolf, starring the Fugitive. What's his name? The original Fugitive. I can't think of his name at the moment. Do you guys remember his name?
Oh, somebody in the chat will get it before I do.
Yeah, I can't remember, but yes, it was a TV movie from the 70s where it's about a werewolf. But it's coming to Blu-ray from Vinegar Syndrome. And of course, the big one, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2 in 4K, and it seems to be stacked with special features for that release. So that looks to be a cool one.
Yeah, I actually got a response from one of the guys over at Vinegar Syndrome a couple weeks back when they announced the previous month's releases or whatever it was, and he's like, October. And I'm like, yes, I knew it was coming sooner or later.
Yes, and David Jansen.
I can't wait to see that. Yeah, David Jansen.
That's the original Fugitive. Yeah, but yes, I can't wait to see it because like you, I was very curious as why it wasn't announced when they did the November titles and all that. So looks like they were saving it for October. So it's really cool that you got a reply from them on that front.
Indeed.
Yes, and here's something, because we talk about the streaming shows and all that. If you're a fan of Jack Ryan on Amazon, starring John Krasinski, it looks like season 1 and 2 are coming to 4K from Paramount on November 1st. So that's something interesting.
It's an interesting move, yeah.
Yeah. So that's I believe that's.
I don't even think the Star Trek shows have gotten 4K releases.
No, I think they barely get Blu-rays.
So you can find them on the shelf still. That's
you can find them, lots of them. But yeah, that's something different, because I know they have released The Boys from Amazon on Blu-ray, season 1 and 2. So this is their first 4K of their original television series programs. So that's interesting. That's something to ponder. We did get a street date for the Highlanders 4K Steelbook by Lionsgate, which will be available December 13th.
Now, Steelbook is actually Best Buy exclusive.
Yes, the Steelbook is Best Buy exclusive.
You can actually, Amazon actually already has the regular version up for pre-order, but the Steelbook is still not up on Best Buy, so keep that in mind. But I believe the Steelbook is the same version that Zavi has for sale right now in an Ultra box set, which is the one I pre-ordered thus far. So
yeah. Well,
I don't know if I'm going to get a US version just to get it early or not. I might just wait out Zavi again like I did with Lost Boys and Poltergeist, but we'll see.
Yeah. And isn't that the one with like the slipcover? Like
it has like a big. I think it is the same Steelbook that Best Buy has.
Oh,
because that was the case with Lost Boys and Poltergeist.
Yeah.
But then it comes in another box that also has like a bunch of like goodies with it and stuff. So
yeah, that's true. That's true. Here's another obscure title that we're getting. Dr. Caligari from the 80s, I believe it might have been 80s or 90s. This goes on pre-order Monday, October 31st at 9 a.m. from Mondo Maccabee USA.
Now, didn't I see that the original one was coming up to Blu-ray too? The one that.
Yes, I believe the original might be one of the. I heard that it might be one of the secret titles for November and Vinegar Syndrome. But I
swore I heard something about the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, because that one's a little harder to find. Yeah. That's a little harder to find, because that was one they thought was a lost film for a while, and then they found a print of it, I believe.
Yeah, I did hear that. I can't remember where I heard that one from. But yes, I did hear that.
Then they did do an 80s reboot or remake or whatever you want to call it, I believe. And that's what that one is. Yeah.
Kind of like a loose sequel, remake, reboot type thing. It's weird. It's very weird. It's in the vein of like John Waters and a Rocky Horror Picture Show and stuff like that. So it's crazy. Yeah.
But the original one is actually in the era of like the old school original silent horror films. Yeah.
Yeah, like Black and White, stuff like that.
Yeah, Jeremiah Hembry says Queen made some good songs for Highlander. Yes, they did. And I believe some of those special features for that stuff that hasn't been available since one of like the Anchor Bay releases is supposed to be on this one too, but I can't remember. They did put the list out of special features, and I do think it's more than what was on the regular Blu-ray before, so that'll be cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see what that 4K looks like. I'm hoping it looks good.
Can't remember. Did they have the videos on the last one or not? I have the music videos from the Queen set, but I'm trying to remember if they're actually on the disc or not, because they are on the Anchor Bay release from years ago that was in the metal tin.
Yeah, I have that.
But I don't remember if they carried over to the Lionsgate releases. I don't think
they did. I got the 1 and 2 on Blu-ray. I don't think the music videos are on it at all.
Do you realize the Highlander 2 on Blu-ray is worth like 50, 60, 70 bucks or more?
For real?
For reals.
I did not know that. I got it. It's a double package. It's Highlander and Highlander 2, the Renegade cut, all in one thing.
Lucky.
Yeah.
Because Highlander 2 is hard to find. They, for some reason, must have done a limited printing on that or something Lionsgate did, because
they figured nobody was going to buy it.
Yeah.
Must have been, because I didn't even know it was out on Blu-ray, and then when I bought it, it was up to 40 or something already, and the last time I looked, it was like going for like 60 or so. So
Dang. Well, I got a good deal because I only paid $5 for both of them, brand new.
yeah, you got a hell of a deal.
Yeah.
I think that's the 4K scan of I'm trying to remember, did they do another DVD before they did the 4K scan or not? I don't think they did. Because Highlander's been released, I don't know how many dozen times now. That's the problem. And I have like almost every fucking disc release.
Same.
I got like 2 different DVDs. I know I have the Blu-ray. And so, yeah, I think I have them, all the main releases.
I have the VHS, 2 DVDs, and the Blu-ray. So
I used to have the VHSs and the director's cut on VHS. I used to have the theatrical cut and VHS each on VHS.
Yeah. But
anyhow, hopefully they get all the goodies on that disc. But I think that's one you're looking forward to, isn't it, Valiant Highlander?
Yeah, I've already pre-ordered it. I mean, I didn't get I just did the regular version on Amazon. I pre-ordered that. I pre-ordered, what else did I pre-order today? Well, we've got some other ones I guess we're to talk about, but I pre-ordered 3 discs today. That was one of them. And the other 2 were War Games and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Nice.
Yeah, War Games was a big announcement from Shout Factory, which I think I predicted that one a couple months back, didn't I, Greg?
I think
I heard that one had a 4K
I feel like we
scan.
talked about it, yeah.
Because I think I heard that one had a 4K scan done. And yeah, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Now, this one is one we've talked about a couple times, but let's deviate for just a moment and talk a little bit about this since it's the main topic anyway, since you brought it up.
Go ahead.
This was a bit of a surprise to us, not just because we knew we were getting the 4K. This has been rumored for a while.
Yeah.
What we didn't know what we were getting was a good portion, if not all of the deleted scenes that have been talked about for years.
Yep.
Okay, there's a famous cut of this film that has been talked about time and time again that is like 3 hours long.
Yeah.
And the movie itself runs about 1 hour and 45 minutes ish, somewhere in that range. And we're getting 75 minutes of deleted and extended scenes. So that sounds like a good chunk of what was cut out of that other version.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, even on the front of the box, the art for the box even has a sticker on it that says with over an hour of never before seen footage. Right. So it's like, oh yeah.
So I have a feeling, and what that means is probably when they went back to the negative, they probably had one of the earlier cuts there with it in the same boxes and however they stored it. Yeah, and so they probably pulled that cut out and they scanned those scenes, I bet, which is gonna be sweet.
I can't wait.
Oh, does the movie only run 92 minutes? I thought it was a little bit more thicker than that.
Oh, I'm curious if they got that scene for why he has a black eye that they never explained in the movie. And I know it's been explained, but I can never remember why. So I'm hoping maybe we'll get like the full scene or whatever there was that caused that John Candy's character, when he picks him up, what's his name? Steve Martin's character in the semi-truck near the end, he's got a black eye, and it's never explained in the movie why he has a black eye all of a sudden. So I'm really curious to see if they had that deleted scene on.
They might.
Yeah.
So yeah, because the only one that's really been out there in full view is the one that we had before the show, which is one that I believe has been added to the television version over the years, if I'm not mistaken, because I've seen it several times. But yeah, so I can't wait to check that out. That's going to be interesting to see. I don't know what else. I don't think there's any other special features, just the mini featurette or whatever that was on there before. I think is the only other thing that's on it. But those deleted scenes alone make this release, along with the new scan, because it did need a new scan. The old one is it's all right, but
it's decent, but it could definitely need a new scan, and I'm looking forward to see that very much.
I'm afraid of it though, because Paramount's doing it, and we'll get into that. Yeah, we'll get into our other discussion a little later on.
Yeah, that was. I'm curious about that too, because that's something Paramount seems to be having some problems lately.
We'll talk about that in a bit when we get to the new releases of the week. But yeah, so what else do we have besides announcements? Because now, since we jumped into the Shout ones,
that's why.
Besides War Games, what else did we have?
So with War Games, it's coming December 20th, and then we also get Black Christmas on 4K. I had that a minute ago. Where was the date on that? Yes, the date on that is December 6th, Black Christmas, 4K, and then we'll get Carrie. The original Carrie on 4K, and that's something you wanted to talk a little bit about too, because they're selling the package where you can get the steelbook, the standard release, 2 posters, and pins. And with doing that, you're going to get like 5 copies of the movies.
Yeah, I'm getting sick of this. Shout is pulling some real straight up BS with this. This is now this is now like the 4th or 5th release where they pulled this shit. Where they'll have several different versions and packages, but the only way where you can get everything, usually including the pins, both posters and all that stuff, is if you buy versions of the packages that literally have 2 copies of the discs in each one. You have a steelbook copy and a standard copy.
Right.
So you're basically getting double dipped. So now I have like literally 3 copies of the Fog in 4K because I had the old Studio Canal release. Mm-hmm. And when I bought the package to be able to get the pins and all the posters, you had to buy the version that had both the steelbook and the standard edition. So now I have 3 copies of the Fog in 4K. I now have 2 copies of Army of Darkness in 4K, plus all the old Blu-rays and DVDs because they pulled the same thing on that one. And this is becoming an issue if you ask me. Like, why can't they just send along a blank case, or just make a version where you get both posters, or you get to choose which poster you want? Because in most cases, I'll be honest with you, I'll just as soon take the steelbook movie part, but when I want the poster, I want the original theatrical poster.
Right.
So why can't they make a package like that or something? But usually the kicker of it is, to get the pins, you usually have to get the big package.
Yeah. Which is crazy because you think I would be down for, like, if I usually don't buy the packages because I don't, really need all the posters and everything. No space anyway.
For those who want to know what I'm talking about when I say pins, here we go.
Yeah. And they get these pins. You would think maybe they'd at least send like an empty 4K case and give you the steelbook, the movies in the steelbook.
Or make a slip cover that fits on the steelbook that's the same as the other slip cover or something.
It would be good for like an empty steelbook or an empty 4K case so you can get it along with the pins and the posters. Yeah, and the pins are awesome, but it's just too much money for what you're getting.
Or if not, you know what? You know what Vinegar Syndrome does that's awesome? Speaking of, they actually, when they will get new shipments of their slip covers.
Yes.
So now if you miss their original versions with slip covers, you can just buy the slip cover.
Yeah, and that's pretty cheap too.
Yeah, it's like $6-7.
Yeah.
So now, like, for instance, I bought Hobgoblins, but they had ran out of the slipcover by the time I got to it. And then on this last sale, they had slipcovers for sale. So I was like, well, fuck yeah, because they re-released it. Mm-hmm. So you could buy it with it or you could buy it without. I'm like, well, fuck yeah, I'm going to get the slipcover. Because I almost bought it again just to get the slipcover. Because it was a nice, because Vinegar Syndrome does nice slipcovers.
Yes, they're beautiful.
And they're sturdy, and they always do a really good job with them. So I was like, you know what? It was almost worth buying it again and then just sell it or gift the other version to a friend,
Mm-hmm.
And no, I noticed that, I can just buy the slipcover. That's fucking neat. I wish Shout had something like that or whatever. Because, I don't need both. I don't even really need 2 covers, right? Like, that's why I didn't mind with, like, the Child's Play ones. All they did was send you extra slipcovers.
Mm-hmm.
So,
which was good. It's maybe they'll start doing that for other releases for a change.
But this is another reason why collectors like the slipcovers. Because yes, Duck Nation, that is correct. For some of them, some collectors find them collectible.
Yep.
So,
I like the slipcovers because it does provide something for it, and it looks like you've said, it looks good on the shelf, and you can read the outside of it better than maybe just like the disc. But I'm not going to go out of my way to spend like $100 for a 4K
perfect example.
Slipcover. So
because of the Scream stream, that's a link to this show afterwards. By the way, I wanted to revisit them all again just to get them fresh in my mind. I spent 25 fucking minutes looking for my Scream 4K.
Holy crap.
Why? Because the side spine, it is written in very fine gray letters. Mm-hmm. Scream.
Mm-hmm. It is.
You can barely fucking make it out. And I'm like, I went past it, I don't know how many fucking times. And I don't have the best eyesight as it is, as you guys can tell from my reading. So that just doubled the piss off for me. Like, at least on Scream 2, they make it solid white with a red 2. It's there. You can see it.
Yeah, it pops more. Yeah.
The first one, though, I was so pissed because I'm like, I spent 25 minutes looking for this son of a bitch, and it was right in front of my fucking face most of the time. So I'm like, I know it's got to be right here. I put it right next to the other. Like, where is it? And I looked and looked and looked, and I finally found it. But like, it was like, and that's why I couldn't see it, because I couldn't see the name on the spine.
I didn't spend as long as you looking for mine, maybe about 5 minutes. But yeah, it took me a minute to find mine too, because like I was like, I know, put it right here. Oh, there it is. Because the font is very light. It's very fades
very,
in.
very light.
Yeah. So like one of those little plastic slip covers to go over, that would be really neat. So
well, and the steelbooks have even less room to put their label on than a regular Blu-ray does anyway. And those already are my biggest and only real gripe with Blu-ray covers is that I think they could have made them just a little bit. I like those thicker ones so you can at least see the fucking spine. Yeah, that bothers me. That's why I hate records too, because I can never read the fucking spine on records. But anyhow, that's a gripe for that part of it. But yeah, that Shout business, I doubt anybody from Shout's listening. And I mean, I could probably send some notes along to people I know who know people and whatever. But to me, just as a consumer, that feels like the lowest of double dips. And I don't mind paying a little extra on the other end for certain premiums if I know I'm helping the company out. But I don't feel like I need to help them and double their sales in that way. That feels like underhanded to me.
It does feel a little, like a little cheat. Like, oh, you want these 2 posters and these pins? Well, here's 2 4K copies of the movie. And not only that, you get 2 Blu-ray copies of the movies with it as well. And so it's like, well, why can't
I don't
you
think
just
they're
give me that?
realizing. Yeah, I don't think they're realizing that they're kind of cutting their own nose off to spite their face, because now what's going to happen, Greg and Valiant, I don't know if you agree with me or not, but we're going to get a lot of resale shop now that are going to get flooded with 4K copies of Army of Darkness, The Fog, and all this shit. So on the other side of it, Shout's not going to be able to sell anymore.
Yeah, right. eBay and resellers. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, agree with that. Yep. And it's sad because I do like Shout and Scream Factory. They have some really great titles, but sometimes their selling practices aren't always the greatest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not a big steelbook person, but when it comes to these boutique companies, I've learned the hard way that sometimes if you want something, you get it now.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't get it now, you're going to pay out the wazoo later.
Yeah, it's true.
But anyway, what else releases do we have? That was just my minor rant for this week. I didn't know if you guys have had any like Blu-ray or DVD gripes that you want to make this week, but I know Greg and I have a common one that we're going to bring
one
up later.
me and you is going to talk about. Yeah. But no, I don't have any gripes. I got a gripe with myself because I bought a Blu-ray that I'll talk about it later.
Yeah, it's
later
the same
in this
title,
show.
I think. Yeah.
I'm going to switch real quick to the mobile. Give me like 3 minutes. I'll be right back.
Okay, well, while he's doing that, let's go through some more of these announcements and rumors.
Here's a couple more shouts for people with kids. The movies Paranorman and Coraline are coming on 4K from Shout. It looks like they're both going to be released December 13th. You can get it in a standard, and both of them looks like they're having steelbooks too, which I don't see any like package deals with that. You just can buy the standard or the steelbook. So if you're into that a lot of kids like that.
Paramount titles, which is a typical thing Paramount's been doing, is they'll release a standard version and a steelbook, which it looks like they're releasing the same steelbook they did for Wayne's World last year.
Yeah.
For the 4K.
True. It's true. Yes, and then also from Shout Select, A Walk to Remember, starring Shane West and Mandy Moore. So if anybody's looking forward to that,
I remember that being a big movie for the ladies back in the day.
Yeah, I always get that, like that, and like Save the Last Dance was like all
those
big great stuff. Yeah,
those are 2 surefire hits. If your woman doesn't already have them, and you're looking for a movie gift for your lady, those are 2 surefire hits right there. That, or if you really want to make sure you get her, get The Notebook.
Yes.
Now, if you want to, there you go.
Yep. And
that's
like
you're sensitive.
Yeah, that's very much in the vein of The Notebook and stuff. That Walk to Remember, which also comes out December 13th.
There you go.
Then,
so,
and then something very, really, really special. I know everybody's going to rush to get this 4K. It's going to be a huge, huge release, and that would be Cats from 2019 coming January 3rd. No butthole cut, but I mean, hashtag it, man. Release the butthole cut.
I can't even believe this is getting a 4K.
Did it even sell enough of Blu-ray to even
Well, first of all, let's be honest. There's no way this was a 4K master.
No way.
There's way too much CGI, so it's definitely a 2K master anyway.
It's gotta be, yeah.
So it doesn't deserve a 4K.
Not at all, not even a little.
Not even a little. Yeah. And let's not even talk about on merit alone.
It's just
what is the 4K going to add to this, really? Like, the buttholes really pop out in Dolby Vision, you know. No,
yeah. You're going to see the fine cat hair perfectly
cat hair.
with the people and their shapes, and it's stupid.
I honestly, Iron Wolf, I don't know anybody. And did that movie have anybody come out and defend it at all? I don't think, like, you know, these movies, even Morbius had its little group of people who actually took that shit seriously.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even stick up for Morbius a little bit, but hey, it's you know, it's harmless fucking fun, right? Like, it doesn't take itself too seriously, or it does, but in a sense that it takes itself way too seriously to where it comes back around to being stupid. But who in the fucking world in their right mind is going to buy Cats in 4K? Can you tell me one fucking person?
Oh God, I made it back just in time. I got to tell y'all, I just pre-ordered Cats in 4K. Did y'all know about this?
Holy crap, Renegade got
this
it.
was the last time Valliant was ever going to be on the show, just so you guys
know. Gotcha.
We need to go to see Taylor Swift as a cat dancing.
Oh God, I don't need 4K cat buttholes.
That's what we were saying too, man. It's like, what? Who asked for this?
Somebody asked for it.
And not to mention, like, I'm sure you missed it as you were transferring. Like I had said, like, there's no way this has a 4K master. It was done in 2K with all the CGI and shit.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
There's no fucking way. So this is kind of one of the most pointless 4K releases in the history of. This is going to be a waste of plastic.
You know what it is? It's some executive's wife's favorite movie from the company, and she was like, "You got to put this on 4K. People are going to buy it." And he's like, "Ah, fine, whatever." And that's what's happening. He's like, "I'll just put it out there. Maybe she'll get a copy."
I would really, really love to know. I mean, how many copies of this are they going to press with? I can't imagine. This is going to wind up being like a boutique title kind of thing. I mean, I can't imagine. Well, we're going to mass produce 100,000 copies of it. Man, they'd be lucky to sell 1,000 copies of that shit.
Yeah, and even if it was shot in 6.5K, as Duck Nation points out here, it's a 2K master, and it's all done digitally in the end. So that's the thing. I have a really hard time watching newer films. I really only get them in 4K if I know that I really want the Dolby Vision grading, right? Like, that's my main concern. Because otherwise, I know they're not going to look any better because they're the same fucking thing. You can't up-convert it. And to me, I can tell when they try to do that bullshit. So
you can tell.
But anyway, so Cats is a waste of space. This is true.
They'd sell more copies of Turner and Hooch.
Maybe
it was some stipulation in somebody's contract that it had to get a 4K release. Who knows?
It's something. I think they're just still desperate to make their money off.
The only other thing is, I can say this: there are some crazy motherfuckers out there who bought the Blu-ray for a joke or something, and they actually think there was enough sales that they think this thing has some legs to it. But I can't see this having a Rocky Horror kind of revival in 10 years. I just can't.
People's gonna go dressed up as cats with their buttholes hanging out.
God.
I mean, this is even furries weren't involved. Like, even those guys were like, fuck that.
Yeah, really.
It's true.
Like, even they didn't get out and defend it. They were just like, nope, we're staying out of this one.
God.
We'll defend the Brodies, but fuck that noise.
Yeah, screw that.
All I've seen is like 30 seconds of the trailer for that thing way back when, and I'm like, yep, I'm good. That's enough. I mean, I wasn't a big fan of the Broadway musical. I know it's iconic. I know it's classic. I get all that.
It's pretentious as fuck, though. Let's be real.
I've seen professional, productions of it. Visually, the stagecraft and everything, especially for when that show was created, was wonderful. But it's like, okay, I've seen it. Now I don't care anymore.
The best I can say for it is it has better music than Phantom, and Phantom was already pretentious enough. And I know that's going to be a hot take because there's so many people who loved Phantom. But I think Phantom is one of the most pretentious motherfucking plays ever done.
I like the Robert Englund Phantom.
Are you saying that Andrew Lloyd Webber is pretentious?
Andrew Lloyd Webber knows what his smart farts smell like. He can describe them to you in song.
They're beautiful and sweet.
Yeah.
All right, now we have to do it since we brought it up. Come on, bro. What you can do, bro? It's Broadway bro down, bro.
Oh shit.
Come on, South Park people.
Oh,
South Park
Lord.
F reference. There we go.
Here's another one that I know we're looking forward to. The Offer is coming to Blu-ray.
Oh yes, that's awesome. Did you? When's that coming out? Because I haven't.
That looks like we are going to be getting it November 29th. It looks like just a standard Blu-ray. I wish it was 4K because I think it is on 4K on Paramount Plus, but I might be wrong on that. I'd have to double check.
That's cool.
Yeah, for those who don't want to get involved with Paramount Plus, but still would like to check out The Offer, it will hit Blu-ray in November. So there you go.
Awesome.
November 29th.
Awesome. That's cool. I'm gonna have to check that. I still been meaning
we
to
lost
check that
Valiant.
out. I know. So we lost Valiant.
There he
Now
is.
that happened. He's
No,
back.
sorry, I hit the wrong button on the phone
That's
and
all
it dropped me out. So
His
I do that all
pre-order
the
for
time.
cats didn't go through. He had to go check.
yeah, no. I got an email back from Amazon saying,
You're like,
"Oh my
"What?
God, are you serious?
It's
Did you
sold
make
out."
this order by mistake? We think there might be fraud in your account." So
It's like
No.
what's that movie? We got one.
yeah,
Ghostbusters. Duh.
Yeah.
we found the
We
one
got
guy.
You're now on an FBI list. Congratulations.
Oh God, right up there with Canterbury Tales. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. And honestly, I can't remember now, Stanley, if it was in 4K or not. I think it was. I honestly think it was. But again, I'm sure it would be a 2K up convert to 4K anyway. To be
Yeah.
honest with you. 'Cause there's no way they're shooting that show in 4K and presenting it in 4K. I don't know. I'd have to look. I don't know. Do they really Valiant? Because I know like a lot of the newer shows do run in 4K. I mean, Cobra Kai has been in 4K for a while.
Well, wait, you mean- Well, yeah, most of them are. Do you mean like other ones that have had 4K disc releases?
None of them have, outside of the few that we've talked about. Like the only
No.
4K shows that I can think of that have gotten releases have been Stranger Things.
Right.
The few minor episodes of Twin Peaks, like their premiere episode and their finale episode of the revival, were in 4K on disc. Other than that, not many. Just the new ones we just brought up here earlier.
Yeah,
Jack Ryan.
That's like one of
And
the first.
Game of Thrones was the only other one I could think of that's gotten 4K releases.
Yeah, and I think they did that. That was put together, I think, before HBO Max was really getting
Castle
big.
Rock was too, I guess, evidently.
Yeah.
Duck Nation says.
I think most of the things I would think they're going to try to keep, like they might put out a Blu-ray set so you can have a physical media, but I think a lot of these shows they'll just retain in 4K and just say, hey, if you want to watch it in 4K, you've got to stream it. You got to stay subscribed.
My question is this.
I don't know.
It's like, yeah, Stanley says digital 4K doesn't cost any more to shoot. Well, yeah, no, shooting it in 4K isn't the issue.
No,
It's
they're
the
always going to shoot it in
final
4K.
product.
Yeah.
Like, I'm curious if these shows are actually in 4K.
Yeah.
Unless they're up converts, like that's my question.
A show like Cobra Kai, yeah, because there's no post-production VFX, right? I mean, it's nothing.
Yeah.
So there's no reason that you would not go from start to finish, in camera to rendered in Adobe Premiere or whatever they're using.
Right.
Eventually, but in 4K, there's no reason
Makes
to down
no sense. Exactly. Yeah.
Now a show like maybe like The Boys, where they have more VFX, or if they have what's another? Stranger Things has got a lot of VFX. I mean, I could see that being down converted into a 2K DCI to do the VFX.
That's
like
what
they
I'm
do.
thinking, yeah.
Every Marvel film is like that, but yeah. But I would think that. No, I mean, because they do that now with movies. I mean, if there's no VFX, there's no reason to go through all that conversion process because that takes time. And when you have to compress it and all this kind of stuff versus going native straight through, it takes more time, even if you're down converting.
Yeah, that's the reason they do this a lot of times is for the ease of access and usage because bigger files use more computing power. And on the other end, to render out, you get it takes 4 times to render out and do all that business. So, and the size of the files and whatnot. So that I can understand. When you're doing heavy VFX stuff, I can't blame them to a point. I wish they would just take the time and do it proper, but I can understand where putting out, you know, the output is just too big and too long and whatnot.
Well, it's like I said before, it's changing because you think about a studio is going to pay a VFX house. They're paying them basically by the hour. So, and this is, I mean, Marvel has had this issue, right? They've been destroying VFX houses right and left. So, I mean, you got to imagine if they had to render VFX and basically build them in 4K and then render them in 4K start to finish. You know, that 1 hour bill just became a hour and a half, 2 hour bill. So, I mean, you're talking about 50 to 100%, you know, you're spending more money to have that done that way, you know, potentially. Now, as computers are a lot faster, I mean, hell, I can run G's and P's. I think I can run concurrently like 16 full 4K streams simultaneously in multi-camera editing now on my Mac Studio. So,
yeah, it's
I mean,
getting there. Yeah.
It's I mean, it's changed a lot. So you'll start to see that pilfer through in the next, I'd say, 3 to 5 years from now. Probably everything that's getting shot, almost no matter how much VFX is in there, is all going to be 4K straight through start to finish.
Because I think Sony is already doing that. I think you're right, Valliant. Because if I remember right, because we looked into this for the physical media show, like, because there was a big debate over whether or not Ghostbusters Afterlife was a 2K interpositive or if it was 4K from start to finish. Because I had two different sources saying both. Like, one was saying the 2K up convert, the other one was saying, oh no, it's 4K from start to finish. Because I knew they did Ghostbusters 2016 4K from start to finish. And I'm like, why would they do that one and not the new one? And from what I found out, that from best I can find, yes, the new version is from start to finish 4K, and most Sony titles, from what I've learned, they're on the forefront of making sure just about everything. Now, maybe not all of their effects, but most of the stuff is done from 4K to beginning to end. Now, that's the thing, to answer Sean's question, the short version of what Valliant just said, it's cost and time. Those are the two big things that they will decide to just do a 2K version of the effects, and then in which case then they'll just end up doing the entire interpositive in 2K instead of 4K. And then for the disc, they'll just up convert that file, which to me is stupid, and what it results in, unfortunately, this is what kept me out of 4K for a while. Because if you guys remember 4K when it first came out, most of the stuff they were putting out was newer stuff. And everything I was seeing in the stores, everything that everybody was showing me, I'm like, my Blu-rays look better. My 3D version looks better. And the reason that is because I had I still have a plasma. And a 1080p picture on a plasma looks just as good or better than a 4K up convert of a lot of these 2K interpositive films. It gives them a soft and dark picture. Spider-Man No Way Home is one of the biggest sufferers of this. As of like this newer version, if we were doing our best and worst looking Blu-rays of the year, for brand new Blu-ray, my worst looking Blu-ray would be Spider-Man No Way Home. It looks like dog shit. It is dingy, dark, there's no color or life to it, and it's because it's a 2K up convert. And Sony did that. That's the weird thing that I don't get. But that must be because of Disney. I gotta imagine, because I can't imagine why they would have done that otherwise, because every other Sony movie they've done has been 4K from beginning to end. But it looks like garbage. And I haven't been able to watch the 3D version yet because I can't get my
Well, you know they're going to make a new version, and they're going to make a new disc release with this, like whatever this extended cut.
Yeah, and I'm not so sure I'm going to get that either. I might, but I might not. I might just get the digital versions. Well, who gives a shit? Or the Blu-ray version, because I got the 3D version of Spider-Man No Way Home, but it's region locked, and my region free player doesn't have an optical output on it, and for some reason it's just not working right with the 3D. So it might not be a 3D player. I just never really checked that, to be honest with you, because all my 3D Blu-rays have always been American. I never had to worry about imports until recently. So I don't know. I haven't been able to watch it yet. I have this disc just laying here. I can't do nothing with it. So sooner or later I might just buy another region free player, but make sure this one plays 3D discs. But I don't know, unless it's a defective disc. I can't really tell. But yeah, so that's the
know.
problem with Upconverse. So what else do we have for news and rumors, though? Because I know we had a few more things.
Did we cover the Arrow December releases?
No, we did not get to Arrow yet.
Okay, so Silent Running is coming to 4K. I know I brought that up last week because it was just announced, but Silent Running is coming to 4K from Arrow in December. It's going to be in a standard and a steelbook release. Nightmare at Noon, which we talked about, so I don't know. A movie called The Leech, and a movie featuring Clive Owen called Croupier. Have you ever heard of that one? I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. But that will be only a UK release, but it will be in 4K. And then the original Ju-on Grudge series is getting released in 4K in UK only. All the Blu-rays will be Region B. Speaking of region players, so all the Blu-rays will be Region B, not US players. But the 4K is region free, as you know, so you can get the first one in 4K. So that's all the Arrow releases coming in December. The movie Pearl is getting released on November 8th on Blu-ray, which you can count on a 4K of that probably not much longer afterwards. That's what they do. That's what they did with X. And I think the last movie we got here is Marcel with Shells on the Shoes, which I know the Kyoto Brothers has something to do with this, is available from A24.
That's one that Chris was talking about. Yeah, Chris Gore.
Yeah. That actually got a lot of positive attention. I mean, that movie did fairly well for its little small budget, no marketing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it came out. It was funny because A24, they had that come out, and right before that came out, like a few weeks before that came out, was Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Mm-hmm.
Same folks.
There's a few you did miss, by the way. Although these are a little bit lower level. This is Severance.
Okay, yeah.
We've got. Are these new ones? No, I think this is something else. Did you get all the new Severin ones or not? Because I think there was a couple.
Don't know, but I did know one I just missed, and I thought I had it here. The Taking Pelham 1, 2, 3.
That's one of them.
Yeah, that's coming from Kino on 4K.
Oh, that's Kino.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, it's Kino. But what's the Severin titles?
Actually, I don't know if there is any new. There was something else I was thinking of. If it's not Severin, it's one of them. I always get them mixed up. Let me look.
Dawn of the Dead, the remake is coming to 4K from Scream Factory. I forgot that one.
That was a rumored announcement. Yeah, that hasn't been announced. That was a rumor. No, it wasn't Severin. It was something else then, because we already did these Severin ones.
Okay, I know we brought up Rocky 1 and 2, but Rocky 3 and 4 has been announced.
Yeah, Rocky 3 and 4 also got announced. There was something else. There was some Paramount or something other releases that we got. I can't remember now. Let me look through my list here real quick. Yeah, you got Taking a Penhelm. We just said that one. What else was there? I know there's something we're missing.
I can look real quick.
I might be wrong, but Training Day, that was one that also.
Oh yeah, Training Day is coming to 4K.
Night of the Iguana, Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. Yep. No Escape is getting
a German 4K.
A German 4K release. That was one that I remember. Yes. So we've been asked about No Escape a while back, right after we lost Ray Liotta. So not only that is that finally getting a Blu-ray release, but it's getting a German 4K release. So keep that in mind, kids.
Blue Underground is releasing Justine from 1969.
Oh, we forgot about Scream
4K.
3.
Oh yeah, Scream 3 is coming next year, probably in same time, October on 4K. Yeah.
Actually, I think that's supposed to be timed with Scream 6, I think. Okay. I think that's supposed to be. The rumor I heard was like March or February.
Well, that's better than waiting until October.
And I'm not sure about Scream 4 yet. I've been trying to figure it out. I think Scream 4 was shot on film, but it was scanned in 2K digital, and that's how it was done. So that's why I think that movie is stuck in 2K.
I'm curious about that one because I was going to buy the Blu-ray, but then like with the releasing of Part 3 and stuff, I'm thinking maybe I should wait for 4K, but I don't know if that one will actually get a 4K.
I don't know if it will. But Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, we brought that up earlier. That is coming from Eureka Video.
Yeah, I thought I heard something
in
about
December.
that.
That's the original one, and then the and that's a 4K restoration. I don't think it. Oh, they found the original negative. Holy shit! Cool.
That's gonna look awesome.
That's like a German expressionist. For those who don't know, it was like I said earlier, horror film. So yeah, that's the other one we were talking about earlier. So yeah, I think we got them all covered then. I think
It looks like
Death Wish was last with, right? Death Wish and Cannibal Holocaust were last week. So
did we ever bring up this? I know these are kids movies, but it looks like Puss in Boots and Shrek 2 and all them getting 4K.
I think we might have brought those up last week. If not, yeah. It might have been Entertainment Wizard. I'm trying to figure that out, but I know there was. It might have been Entertainment Wizard. Since I've got Valliant, if you're here.
Yeah, I'm still here.
You might be able to know if these cameras are digital or if they're film.
What is that?
Hang on here. Technical specs for Scream 4. It was shot on. Because it says it was digital intermediate, but it says the cameras used were Panavision Panaflex Platinum.
Well, Panaflex that's a film camera.
That's what I thought. And
yeah.
That's what I was like. I think what they did was they shot it in film because it looks like film.
Yeah.
And then they scanned it in digitally for the editing.
Yeah.
Hang on one second.
No problem. So that's where I'm wondering. So for them to actually redo Scream 4 and properly, they'd have to go back to the original negative, like they do all these classic releases. Although it was shot in 2011, there may have been some scenes that were shot with digital cameras because I think there are a few scenes that look like it. Besides, the kid carrying around the streaming camera, obviously.
Yeah. Of course.
Okay.
But I think there's a.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Valiant. No. Go ahead, Valiant.
No, I was going to say, that was in that era where they were just starting to do more of that digital post-production, I guess, if you will. Yeah. So there were a lot of productions that were still getting shot on Panaflex with whatever Kodak or Fuji stock that they were using at the time.
It says Kodak 35 millimeter is the.
There you go. That's
negative format. Negative format right there. Yep.
Yeah, probably a Kodak Portra film stock. So probably, I mean, they filmed it, and then to make the editing process at that point, they couldn't really film in digital, but they could make the editing process a little bit more neat, where they could just take the stock at the end of the day, scan it all in, and then they wouldn't have to worry about physically cutting film and trying to paste a movie together like they had to before. So, yeah, that's all that was.
Yep. But this is true too. They did do the knife effects in CGI. Yeah. There's a couple of CGI effects in the film, very few, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what afforded the ability to do the CGI more smoothly at that point, was to where, they could scan an entire film stock in and then just, hey, let's throw in a special effect here. Let's throw in a special effect there. Like all of a sudden, it's like they could make these decisions kind of on the fly in post to some degree or another. Right. Because now they didn't really have to plan everything out exquisitely and up front, because now they could scan film in.
Right.
Yep.
So there we go. I don't know if if we get a 4K version of Scream 4, I'll be curious if it's not up converted. Yeah. On that note, that's probably a perfect segue into what we've picked up recently, because Greg and I got Scream 2 this last week.
Yes, sir.
And we both noticed the same issue with it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you want to start first, Greg. But
go ahead. It definitely looks like it did some scrubbing, some DNR to it. I noticed some scenes when the camera moves really fast, or when certain things are happening, it gets a little blurry. So the Scream 2 did not look quite as good as Scream 1 on 4K.
And honestly, I went back and looked at Scream 1. It's very similar, actually. Whatever they did to Scream 2, they did it similarly to Scream 1.
I thought it was more noticeable in Scream 2.
But with Scream 2, here's what I think the difference is. Scream 2 has a lot more interior scenes than Scream 1 did in certain aspects. There's a lot of when they're at the school, there's a lot of outside scenes there. In Scream 2, the only real outside scenes are the one scene in the earlier part where they have the news conference after the first murder, and the scene where Randy gets killed.
Yes.
So other than that, most of it's indoors. And that's where it really stuck out to me, because I'm like, this is no way this is from the negative. It might be from an early interpositive, but there's no way it's from a negative, because
Yeah.
just something about the way it looked, the film grain structure about it was off. I mean, it wasn't that it looked bad per se, because granted, this is the best the movie's ever looked. I compared it to the original Blu-ray, the older
way
scan.
better than the Blu-ray.
It's way better than the older scan by far. But I went back and looked at Scream 1, and I checked to see which the sources were for these. They claim the source for the first Scream was the negative. And that has a lot of the same problems this does. So it's either a mix between the film stock of the time, which could very well be, but I have a feeling that Greg's right. I have a feeling that and I've kind of noticed this across a lot of Paramount titles. They're doing some excessive DNR to get rid of some of the grain. Yeah, and to me, it's really killing the picture, and it's adding what you're calling is like a ghosting or jittery kind of effect, especially noticeable in this when they're going fast pan.
Yeah, when they're like when it's panning, like you said, especially in the indoor scenes when the camera was panning real fast, or like when you saw like Ghostface running and stuff, it kind of got really blurry. And I noticed that. I mean, trust me, the colors look great. The outside scenes are bright. You can make everything out, but it does have like DNR scrubbing to it. You can tell.
Not plasticky.
No,
but
not
what
plastic.
It's doing is definitely taking out some clarity, and it's killing the grain structure. And it's turning it into more color noise than structure. So Valiant, for what I'm talking about, is like, especially in like the darker parts of the screen, instead of getting nice rich blacks like we should be getting, we're getting that color noise that I was talking about before. Yeah,
yep, that'll do it when you try to over crank things or over tweak things, and that's bound to happen. And especially if you're using a higher speed film, which you would be using a higher speed film if you're shooting in low light. So there you go.
Yeah,
that's what's going to get you that color noise.
Dark. Yeah.
Yep.
And I think the second film even had a bit of a golden wash to it from my recollection, which I think is kind of missing here too. Because I remember seeing it in theaters 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, I saw it in theaters too.
And I remember the second film had a bit of a gold wash to it that is missing. Go back and look at the old trailers and stuff. It's there. It's subtle, but it's there because it really shows up in the last quarter of the film. Every time that she's in the
because with like the play that she's doing,
the play scenes, exactly. Yeah, everything's very golden hued, and it really sticks out then, and it's kind of absent here. It feels kind of like they missed that layer. But this is a typical thing with Paramount. They've had some snafus. Somebody pointed out to me, and I double checked it, and they fucked up on Friday the 13th. I don't know why certain people aren't finding that more important than it is. To me, it's just as important as Mars being blue, but hey.
Who doesn't remember when that flashes white and it goes, and that Friday 13th logo comes in? I mean, that's like something, like even if you've ever seen the TV show Psych, they do an episode called Tuesday the 15th, I think, and they use that transition. They use that white flash in the logo. So it's very important. It's something people remember, and how people have not really noticed or cared about that doesn't make sense to me.
Gotham, I think I know why the 4K Jurassic Park looks worse than the Blu-ray. I came up with this theory on Greg's channel when I watched the first Jurassic Park again in preparation for the new film coming out. Because I watched the 3D version and then I watched bits of the 4K version. I'm like, these are 2 different scans. And this 4K scan is not from the negative. But the 3D version is. Which is actually the basis probably for the main Blu-rays. For some reason, this 4K scan they use for the 4K version of Jurassic Park is from an older scan. I don't know why they never just used the scan they used for the 3D version. They never redid it. But you can tell because there is a lot of, not a lot, but there's noticeable interpositive hair and speckles and stuff that you see on the 4K version that are not present in the 3D version. And you can tell there's a lot deeper, like the clarity is a little bit there in the 3D version comparatively. Like you can make out more. So it's like you can tell there's a degradation issue in the 4K, which is also a problem with the second film because the second film is up converted for some fucking reason. Jurassic World.
Yeah.
Weird.
Well, that's unfortunately, there's never any consistency, it seems, from one disc to another with most of these manufacturers.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then for some reason, the third film is just fine. Who knew?
Weird.
Then we got House Atreides here, who says, how about a 4K release of Innocent Blood? I still like this movie. Fun, cheesy vampire movie. And Loud, if I'm saying that right, is still hot as hell. I very vaguely remember that movie. I think I got a Blu-ray release.
I don't think I've ever heard of that one.
For some reason, I think that's in one of my 4 packs of movies on Blu-ray. I swear. Yeah, I'd have to look. And then we got Ken in Faladero, who says, hi, all slowly completing my Bond collection and wondering, is Casino Royale worth a 4K shot on film? But what does 2K interpositive mean? Thanks. Well, as we were just explaining, what it means is they'll shoot them for a lot of those years in between the digital age and during the transition. They would still shoot on film, as Valiant said, but they would scan the dailies in, or the rushes, whatever you want to call them, into the computer and categorize them that way. So then when they go into the editing bay, they would just go in and grab all those scans, and they would have everything to work with right there in a digital intermediate. So it's basically scans of the negative. But for a lot of those years, and most of those years, still up to this day, considering the amount of computing room and power and all that takes to do 4K visuals, whether it's, on the video side of things, they will just do it in 2K because it's a lot easier to work with. But they're starting to work up to the 4K. But as far as a Casino Royale, I'd have to check on that one, if that one was 4K from beginning to end or not.
What year was that filmed? Was that 2009?
I want to say that was in the same era, like 10 years ago. Yeah, somewhere in there.
I was going to say, because when we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, when Cameron did Avatar in 2009, and Casino Royale wasn't, but I mean, it was within a couple of years of that. If not, maybe the same year. I don't remember. It's been a while. But they
2006
used,
actually. So that one's old enough. They probably would have done it all from beginning.
Yeah. Well, yeah, probably all in film and then converted it from there, because otherwise, like, the big deal was they shot with those high definition digital cameras to film Avatar.
It was shot with Ari cams. Bunch of Ari cams.
Was it? Well, then I have to go back and see which ones, because that would be digital.
It says the negative format is 35 millimeter double Eastman double X Kodak Vision digital intermediate 35 source. So they shot it on 35, but they edited it digitally at 2K.
Okay. I guess I had forgotten that.
So chances are that's an up convert. A lot of those movies have been getting up converted. They haven't been going back and redoing them like they should.
Yeah. I mean, to me, if the original source was a camera negative, I mean, those are the things that beg for 4K.
Exactly.
Go back and rescan those at 4K or at 6.5K, and then compress. Squeeze everything you can out of those negatives, and get the best possible permanent source that you can from it.
And you would think it'd be so easy to do some of these newer movies, because all you'd really technically have to do is rescan everything, make sure you have the proper files, and then just replace all the original files with the new ones.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's not like we're talking about, like, Casino Royale isn't a 40-year-old film where you've had 40 years worth of chemical degradation on the film, or you can't find half the original negatives and all this. I mean, it's all there.
Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, these older films, when they rebuild these films, they're literally rebuilding them from scratch in the digital realm.
Right.
And in this case, and this is what I'm saying, to me, it's kind of laziness, because all you'd have to do is just make sure you have all the files there, the right scans of the right scenes, and then you just go into the original editing bay files, and you just replace all the old original versions with the new version, the 4K up converts, or 4K scans from and then you don't have to worry about an up convert. You just render it out in 4K then, and you don't have to worry about anything being changed. It's all the same cuts, everything. It's just the newer, better quality video. I don't see why that's so hard to do.
They just don't want to spend the time. I mean, look, we're bringing up James Bond. So, all 25 Bond films just landed on Amazon Prime. They got that all as part of their deal. So you talk about Bond and remastering in 4K, or if there really is a solid remaster, maybe the reason, it hasn't been done that way, or if it was just an up convert, again, it's one of those things Amazon's going to have to decide what they want to do with it at this point. And
I have the 4K digital versions. They're all up converts and scans of the inner positives.
Right, but maybe Amazon doesn't feel like going back right now since they just yesterday dropped the entire Bond collection onto Prime. They want you to go watch it there. And I think that's why a lot of these, a lot of these films we keep talking about. Well, why don't they show up? Why don't they do this one? Why don't they do that one? Probably has a lot to do with licensing issues with where the films are currently playing on streaming. I'm sure there's stipulations and contracts. Netflix writes a check or for a library of movies, there may be some stipulation in there. Hey, we're going to buy this. You can't go back and release, brand new 4K versions of these within the first 6 months or something like that. I wouldn't be at all surprised to see that in contracts with streamers.
Well, the Bond movies, to me, they deserve to be revisited from the original negatives if they exist.
Oh, absolutely.
Because the scans that are out there now are shit.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It's going to be up to Amazon now to do that, or at least to authorize somebody to go in there and do that.
Yeah. But Valiant, you also picked up some other movies this week. Didn't sound like you got Scream 2, but you got a couple other ones, right?
I did, and I tell you what, I am pulling up in my driveway right now. Give me like 2-3 minutes, and I'm gonna get inside, and we're gonna talk about this because just before I got on the show, I got about 15 minutes of it left, but my God, does Night of the Living Dead look just...
Oh, it looks amazing.
Oh, man,
oh my God. So we're going to talk about that. Give me just a couple of minutes here.
Yeah, sure. Well, I can kick that off because I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched like the first 5-10 minutes of it because I have the old Blu-ray as well. And the old Blu-ray was beautiful. Best it's ever looked.
Yeah.
And it's from the same 4K scan. But this is just that much better, right? Because we get the HDR grading. It's in full 4K resolution. And this is taken from as much of the negative that they could and other close to negative sources they could. And they went through 16 different versions to get a good soundtrack for this version, keep in mind.
Nice.
So this is the best, most restored version you're ever going to get of this movie.
I need to know that.
And it is gorgeous looking. I'm of two worlds on the cover because they put it in a regular standard Criterion plastic cover.
Yeah.
The old Blu-ray's in a cardboard slip box, though.
Yeah, that's one I have.
Now, I'd have to really look at them side by side before I could tell somebody it's worth the amount. Like, 'cause this is like a $40 Blu-ray.
Right.
You gotta keep that in mind. Yeah. This is the Criterion discs are not cheap, so unless you can get this on a cheap sale and you don't already own the Blu-ray at this point, I'm not sure I can recommend it. I'm gonna have to bounce back and forth between the two to check them out, but yeah, Valiant's not wrong. It looks better than it ever has before. I mean, the quality of this is amazing. It's a very, very, very well done. It might even rival. Considering it's the only thing it might not rival it on, but I would still say that It's a Wonderful Life is still a better black and white 4K transfer. Right. But the only reason that is because this is 16 millimeter instead of being 35.
Yeah.
But for 16 millimeter, I think Valiant's going to agree. You could have fucking fooled me.
I would.
Because there's some shots in this movie, in this 4K version, just in the opening 15 minutes I watched. So I watched most of the They're Coming to Get You, Barbara scene. I watched most of that.
Stop it.
Yeah.
You're ignorant.
And I'm like, okay, I'm going to wait till I can actually sit down and watch this because Greg wants me to watch Scream.
I'm sorry. People have been saying, when are you doing the Scream stream? When are you doing the Scream
I almost
stream?
thought about telling you, why don't we just wait till next March when the 6th movie comes out?
And I was trying to put it off as long as I could, honestly. But then I got tired of people asking me, and I was like, let's just do it since part 2's out. Yeah. It's October. It gives me some good stuff for Halloween because I like talking to scary movies. So,
but next week on Physical Media is going to be chuck full because we'll have 2 weeks worth of movies probably.
Right.
I've had movies before the Scream movies that we didn't get to talk about yet. But anyway,
exactly. Go ahead,
so Valiant, you also got to check out Night of the Living Dead. At least it sounds like more than I did, and it sounds like you had the same reactions. So
yeah, I did. I think I've got about 15-20 minutes left of the film. Like I said, I stopped it only because we were about to roll here, and I've been out all day dealing with car stuff. But yeah, man, I started that thing, and then immediately just the menu, the soundtrack, and I'll talk about that in a minute too. The menu, everything just it just booms at you. Like I've never seen or heard this movie this way. They did not destroy the original camera negative in the sense of heavy-handed DNR. The film grain was left intact.
Oh no, it looks natural as hell. It's really good.
It does, and I'm gonna tell you what, it looks good. The film grain, I mean, it's not nasty, messy. I mean, the film grain looks very organic. It's a very fine grain. Like Tom said, it was shot in a much smaller film stock, a 16 millimeter, which is about half the size of a 35 millimeter, obviously. So you would anticipate that even with a really good 4K scan, it's just not going to look as good as something that was shot on 35 millimeter film, because even though we're talking about analog film stock here, chemical film stock, there is obviously a loss of resolution when you use a smaller film stock. And that's why, big movies, they love to shoot in 70 millimeter, right? It's framed twice as big, or it's 4 times the surface area rather of 35 millimeter. 35 millimeter is almost 4 times the surface area of 16. It's kind of like going from high def to 4K, 4K to 8K, so on and so forth. But man, this looks good. And the sound is amazing. I mean, there's only one track on it. It is the original. It's a linear PCM 1.0. It is monaural. But let me tell you what, the sound, it sounds like they could have recorded it 5 years ago.
Which is funny because Valiant, I don't know if you read in the thing, I brought this up just before you came back in. They had to source the audio from 16 different places.
It doesn't surprise me. I mean, it's spectacular.
The film, on the other hand, the main film, most of it's from the negative. There was a few pieces they had to steal from a few other versions of the film. I believe there was a fine grain scan that they used from the UK for some of it that they had to fill in, but I think they said like 75% or so roughly was the negative, so it looks really good. Oh, was it shot on 35, Mike? I thought it was 16 millimeter.
Oh, I thought it was too.
I could have swore it was 16 millimeter.
Okay, well, good. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, I didn't remember either. When you said 16, I said, well, that sounds right, because it was. I mean, that film was shot on a budget of about $110,000, which, I mean, for 68, obviously that's
it was just the short film that was shot on 16 millimeter, and I miss.
That might be it. I thought one of them was. I thought something was.
I thought I could have sworn it was.
Still to this day, the death in that movie that makes me cry every time is in the first 5 minutes.
Not 35 millimeter, but printed. It was printed 16 millimeter in a lot of them. That's why.
Okay.
So a lot of the old scans probably came from 16 millimeter. That's probably why.
Probably, yeah, when they made theatrical copies and sent them out. Okay, that kept the distribution cost down. That's probably why. But yeah, the most painful death that makes me cry every time occurs in the first 5 minutes or so of the film, and of course it's the gorgeous 1967 Pontiac Le Mans that they crash into a tree. And
so that's why this looks so beautiful.
Breaks my heart.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
but yeah,
and watching that happen in 4K, that car. I'll put it this way. That 1967 Pontiac Le Mans, if you found one in fully restored condition right now, would be worth like almost 2/3 of what they spent on the original budget.
Mm-hmm. Well, you need to tell this motherfucker, you guys out in the chat, this guy should be on the show. I've tried to get this guy to come on the show regularly. Mike knows his shit. He used to own a theater and shit, and that's the thing, is he still seems like he's still busy with that. So I don't know what's going on with that, Mike, but I really would like you to be a part of the show, man. I've been trying to get him for a while to do it. But yeah. So yeah, you also got, I think we all got Fright Night, didn't we? Or did you get Dracula? I can't remember which one you grabbed.
Well, I got the new Steelbook of Dracula, which I already had the 4K.
Yeah, I've got the old one.
I have Fright Night. On order. It hasn't showed up yet. I got to check on it, actually. I'm glad you said that.
Well, no, this is a problem, it seems like. Because I didn't get my War of the Worlds 4K last week.
Oh man,
just didn't show up. And then Greg, you ran into an issue with Scream 2,
right? And also, I thought I was going to have an issue with Fright Night too, because I pre-ordered from Amazon. Yeah, because that's usually where I do. I should do it from Best Buy more often. I don't know why I don't. But I pre-ordered the Scream 2 Steelbook and the Fright Night Steelbook. and then Amazon tells me that I ain't get my Scream 2 Steelbook. It just ain't. It was supposed to be out, and they said it would be sometime in October 21st, and then it never even shipped. And then they said they shipped my Fright Night Steelbook, and that it wouldn't be here till November. But then I got it the same day I got my standard edition Scream 2 4K. So I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, and this has been like the only reason I go through Best Buy is just to get their Steelbooks usually.
Right.
And those, they do a pretty good job of getting them early. Like I got Scream 2 like Friday.
Yeah.
So that I don't have an issue with. The only problem I have with Best Buy is you have to buy more than $35 worth of stuff to get the free shipping.
Yeah. But I watched Friday Night, and it is outstanding. It is one of the,
which is funny because that's a little bit older scan.
Man, it looked beautiful. The Dolby Atmos was great. Right. And when you guys get a chance to watch it, you're going to love it, because I'm not like the only one that's noticed. Is like I've seen a lot of people saying this is probably one of the best 4Ks they've seen. So it's a really, really good transfer. The Atmos was great. The visuals, the color, everything just popped.
Fright Night.
Fright Night. Yeah. It looked great in 4K.
Yeah, because they actually scanned that back in 2016, I believe it was, or somewhere around there. It's been a while. Because the old Blu-ray comes from the 4K scan. So I knew this one was coming sooner or later, but yeah. It was shot in Eastman 35.
Really?
It's Panavision, anamorphic. That might be part of the reason.
It looks great. I don't know what it was, but it was one of the best I've seen, and I'm fairly new to 4K. You know that. I mean, I've been buying them, but I've seemed to have bought a lot more 4Ks recently than I've bought in a long time.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff coming out. I mean, like I said, I got Dracula again because I really wanted to. I like the Steelbook.
Well, they got the Dolby Vision upgrade. At least they upgraded it a little bit, and I think they added a couple new special features, if I remember right.
They did, and I mean, and here's the thing: that the 2 discs I got, both of which, they have obtained the incredibly rare 5-star rating from Blu-ray.com for the 4K transfer.
Wow. Well, so I do remember that the old one I have does look really good.
Yeah. Well, no, the original version, and they kind of went off that, and they mentioned that in the review for the new one this week. And they said, look, you're not going to notice any real uptick in fine detail or anything like that, but where the film was definitely improved upon, and it's not night and day, obviously, but was the Dolby Vision, was the HDR Dolby Vision. And especially, what do we always say? You buy a horror movie, and if they make an HDR version, that's probably going to be a lot better, because what does Dracula have a lot of? Very dark scenes. And HDR, especially with stuff like that, shadow detail and everything. And they said it was handled perfectly. The shadow detail was all there.
Well, Francis oversaw this, from my understanding, too.
Oh yeah,
and he's done a beautiful job with his restorations. Like again, like I said earlier, if we were having like our awards show today, like if I handed out the award for best looking classic 4K Blu-ray, it would go to The Outsiders. There's no other choice.
Yeah, that was exquisite. Yeah,
and it's because Francis has done a very good job with his restorations, and I'm pretty sure he oversaw this one a couple of years back when they did it. And you're right, like those dark backgrounds. I can't wait to see it in Dolby Vision, but those dark backgrounds and stuff really made like the costumes and some of the other set pieces really stand out. So yeah, they did a brilliant job with it. And of course, it was shot at a time where film they had kind of mastered it. So there's that sweet spot in between like the late 80s into the early, just before they switched over into digital interpositives, like we were talking earlier, where you've got some great looking films. Like they had the science down. They kind of knew exactly what kind of lighting they needed and everything. You didn't have the problems you were having in the 60s and 70s and early 80s. Yeah.
No.
So yeah, and so this film is brilliant. So yeah, so other than that, did anybody pick anything else up that they wanted to talk about? Or I just haven't got a chance to watch any of the newer stuff. So
I know.
Yeah, I'm gonna check out Dracula.
That's my fault.
So yeah.
Yeah. That's all Greg's fault.
Yeah. I got the Munsters on Blu-ray.
Why?
I don't know.
I'm assuming you mean the
movie?
OG Munsters.
The new Rob Zombie ones.
Oh God.
It is horrible. The
Did
movie
you
is so bad.
see Mr. H's review of that?
No, I did not.
Oh,
I can
God,
almost imagine.
It is so funny. He's literally staring into the camera just with his jaw hanging open for 10 minutes. Just at how bad it was. You have to go watch this.
That's one of the reasons why I bought it.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those so bad movies. I just like, I have to have this movie because it's that bad. So I can be like, hey, you guys want to see something really bad? So it goes over. So that's why I bought it.
Nate actually speculated. He's like, I swear to God, Rob Zombie just deliberately made this the worst thing he possibly could. Like he was trying to screw somebody. I don't know. But I was dying laughing. I was like, God, it's that bad.
I've not seen the movie, but I've seen a few reviews and I've seen enough clips that I've seen some people say that it looks like a Nickelodeon made for TV movie from back in the day. I'm like, that's being mean to Nickelodeon.
He put clips in the video, and just like the 3-second bits that he put in there, I was just, it's exactly what I thought. This looks like some cheese bang, cheap.
Well, it looks like it was
channel.
shot on a potato on top of it.
It's bad. It's bad. You know how you feel about Morbius? How bad Morbius was, but you really liked it? I can't say I really like this. I can't really say I like this, but it was really, really bad. And I was just like, I just have to have this for history's sake to show people.
Well, then I heard the plot is basically a ripoff of Addams Family Values.
It's
with a prequel story.
Yeah, it's basically how Lily and Herman came to be, how their family all came to be. So.
Yeah, somebody said there's a lot, or maybe it's the first Addams Family. Something about like there's a big bunch of like stuff that like to do with the house and all that stuff. But anyway, Greg, he has to get going here, so we're gonna wrap this up unless there was anything else that you guys had to talk about.
No,
I think we hit it all.
Yeah. All right, so we will talk some more next week, I'm sure. If not, we will see you the week after. But the way the releases and news have been coming out lately, we almost are obligated at this point just to talk about some of the new releases from the last couple weeks here.
Yeah.
Because I also got the Halloween box set, and I did get to watch Halloween 6 and 6. That's it. But I did check out H2O because I was like, Halloween 6 looks like shit. And I don't mean that like the movie's shit. I mean like it looks like shit. Like it's supposed to be from the negative, but I think it's an older scan. Because I know they scanned it for the producer's cut, so it's got to be that scan. And it does not look nearly as good as Halloween 5 or H2O or any of the other scans do. So it's just like something's off about this one. But and I even watched the theatrical cut. So
that's weird. I wonder if it has anything to do with Paramount though, because like it's a Dimension. Do they own that part now?
That's the other weird thing, because because the stuff that for the advertising says the theatrical cuts are only 4K scans of the negative. Then you look, we have both versions in 4K for the producer's cut. But throwing them in, they're from the same exact files, because that's what they did when they rebuilt them. They rebuilt the theatrical cut, then they did the producer's cut off the same files. So that's why I think this is just an older 4K scan. That's why. And that just goes to show you how much a few years can make a difference, right? Because, I mean, they would have done the box set. What was it back in 2013? I think it was, Greg? Or when was it? Something like that?
For the producer's cut?
Yeah. The original time.
Somewhere around there.
So this scan is probably that old, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
And it looks like it. Because part 5 looks just amazing. Because I watched part 5 and then I jumped into part 6 because I never watched part 5 last year. And I'm just like, what the fuck? I was like, did I put in the Blu-ray? Because like it looks that bad. I'm like, this is bad. And then I threw in part H2O just to check against that one. I'm like, no, that one looks pretty good. So what the fuck's the deal with this one? But that's the best I can figure out is somewhere in the middle of it all. I think they had planned on rescanning the theatrical cut, but they never got to it, is my guess. Because you know how Shout is. You know how Shout is with their announcements on the things and how they're always wrong on the back of their cases with shit? Yeah. That is my guess. I think they had the intention of re-scanning the theatrical cut for this release, and they never did.
It's like, oh shit, just put it out there like that.
Just and they put the old 4K scan they had.
Yeah.
Or that's, like you said, that's the only one Paramount gave them access to.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah.
And then, or they just looked at it budget wise and they decided, since they already had this 4K scan from 2012, 13, whatever it was, that they were just going to use that instead. Which brings us back to what the whole thing that they pulled last week with Platoon that I brought up. So yeah. And that is exactly what I said. I did more research on it. That is a scan, the same fucking scan as the Blu-ray from years and years and years ago. It was a 4K scan at the time, but it was a 4K scan of like I don't think it was even the inner positive. What's the next level after the inner positive, Greg?
I have no idea. What is the next
Valiant,
level
you would
after
know
the inner
probably,
positive?
actually.
Yeah.
There's the negative, the inner.
There's a negative, the inner positive, and the. I don't know.
What?
I don't remember.
Yeah, whatever the. It's somewhere between. I can't remember what the actual technical term is for it, but I think it's from that version of the film. Which, yes, Oliver Stone at the time signed off on that for the Blu-ray and DVD. He didn't sign off on that to get released in 4K. It was a 4K scan down converted to 2K. But as I've busted, go ahead, Valiant.
I was gonna say, just know it sounds like the same thing as James Cameron. It's what we always talk about.
Exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing, Valiant. And here's the reason I brought that up was because, looking at that scan, I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me, because this is a cash grab. This is one of the worst fucking excuses, and then to sit there and say it was overseen by Oliver Stone. And note, they took a bunch of shit off the cover that was originally boasted as a new 4K scan when it's not. And I've busted MGM how many fucking times now?
Yeah,
on their bullshit.
Bunch.
Yeah. So, and I've got proof of it now. We actually had proof because that one guy from, was it Severin?
Yeah, Severin or Synapse, one of the two.
Yeah, he had said something to me about, and because I'd seen the thing and I reached out to him and he answered me and he's like, yeah, it is from a brand new 2K scan because MGM was passing off their old DVD masters as 1080p.
Mm-hmm.
When most of them were at best 720p.
Yep.
Because I was like, it was Overboard. Because I'm like, wait a minute, I already own Overboard, and it's in Blu-ray. And
no, technically it wasn't.
So, and that's where I'm rather disappointed. Oh, that was the other one I was going to talk about. Real quick, and then we're done.
Okay.
If you already have the import of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, do not spend the money on the fucking Shout Factory disc. It's the same exact thing unless you want the 5.1 mix and the poster. It's not worth it. Same fucking thing. Same exact scan. Looks exactly the same. No upgrade whatsoever. No recolor timing. Nothing. Nothing was changed. And I have yet to still verify if that came from the negative either. Because I have a feeling they lost the negative on that. There's some rumor to that.
Yep.
So anyway, yeah. So if you have the import of the 4K Bill and Ted, do not bother upgrading. Otherwise, it is the best version we're ever going to get. So you might as well grab it then. But wait for a sale.
Cool.
It's not worth $35 on 4K.
Yeah, I'll wait till it sells.
It is a rough looking 4K.
Well, you mentioned that, and we can close on this one. But since you mentioned sales, I keep getting notifications from Prime. I think they're doing like another Prime Day here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, they said something about that.
Yeah. So,
and Kino Lorber's in the middle of one of their sales, or they just finished one of the two.
And Scream.
And Scream and Shout Factory got one going on right now. And Vinegar Syndrome is there still going, or did that just end?
Theirs is over, but it's come back in November for the Black Friday.
That's another one. Amityville I haven't even cracked open yet.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah, that's one. Yeah, it's actually a week from today, a week from yesterday. It's October 11th and 12th. So there's gonna be another Prime Day, 2 days next week, Tuesday and Wednesday. So if we've got a show Wednesday next week, I'm sure we'll be maybe throwing out here's what's up there right now. Go grab these 4Ks if you want them, because they're probably going to have a big slate of them. And of course, Blu-ray.com is probably going to be, as they always do, tracking those deals as they come up.
Yes, sir. Sounds like a plan.
So thank you guys. And if we hear of anything else, we will let you guys know. As of right now, that's about all I can think of. So
Yay!
Take care of yourselves and each other. Check out Greg's channel because we'll be streaming there in a couple hours. Check out Valiant's channel. Of course, he always does great coverage on entertainment news and the business side of things and all that stuff. And in fact, he just did a really great stream with WDW Pro, if I could talk, Is there anything you got coming up you want to plug, or anything you recently dropped that you want people to check out?
Yeah, I mean, we did a good live stream Sunday, had a lot to go over, and there's a big chunk of stuff we really didn't get to do this past Sunday that we might try to catch up on this weekend on Sunday at 5:00 Central Standard Time. I did a fun little short yesterday, 45 seconds of why Bros failed at the box office. That was real. YouTube shorts are kind of funny because I've kind of have them figured out. Like for the first 20 or 30 minutes, they're just going to run up maybe like 100, 200 views. Then all of a sudden, within 20 minutes, it went from that to 4,500 views.
Yeah.
And then it plateaus. And so now it's at 5,800 and it's maybe getting like 60 or 70. Shorts are so weird. But yeah, I mean, I'm giving it a shot. Hey, it picked up 20 or 25 new subs. So they work if you do them right, I guess.
Yep.
But no, there'll be more coming out. Recent Variety article talking about some of the goings on with the whole Disney Reedy Creek thing that I don't know if I'm going to have time to fiddle with this evening, but I'm going to get to it. If not, we will talk about it Sunday with Pro. And if I can get his ass out of bed early enough, Andrew Esquire from Legal Mindset, he needs to be back on because that's what we started with was the Reedy Creek thing. So
yeah, I might have to reach out to him. I've been bugging him to come back on anyway, but now with this Angelina Brad Pitt business,
he just started streaming like 5 minutes ago. So
yeah, so there you go. So while you're waiting for Greg and I, you can go check that out. Otherwise, I'll post this link. We just while you're waiting for, if you want to watch something else in the meantime, we just did a video drop on the main channel. If you're interested in checking that out, it's about Rings of Power. But yeah, hopefully we see you guys later on tonight on Physical Media where we'll be talking Scream. It's the Scream stream. Where we'll have Runner and I think Rookie Critic is supposed to join us, or is it just?
I think Runner reached out to Justin.
Oh, Justin Proper will be there. Oh, is there a super chat I missed, House of Trades? I might have. Let me look. I thought we got one earlier.
But I'm gonna have to go real quick, and also I wanted to let you guys know. Also, keep an eye on my channel tomorrow. I'm dropping an interview with director David Weiner of In Search of Darkness. So be aware for that. But I do have to head out, guys. See you later, Valiant. See you, Tom, and you all have a good one. Bye.
Yeah, I did grab this one, House of Trades. I don't know if you missed it. Unless you sent another one. I'm not seeing any more.
Yeah, I remember you talking about Innocent Blood while I was in the car.
Yeah.
I remember you mentioning that. I couldn't really see it, but I remember House of Trades and you saying something about Innocent Blood. Yeah. So I think you did get it.
Yeah, because I think, let me double check while we have it here. I thought I had this in a box set. Yeah. Warner released it. But it could use a 4K, that's for sure. So it's available on Blu-ray at least. You can get it from the Warner Archive set, or it comes in a box set full of other vampire movies like, I think it's The Hunger and, God, I can't remember the other ones, but yeah, I got it like a 4-pack of vampire kind of movies and stuff like that. It's full-fledged Blu-ray. No, that's all right, House Trades. As long as you heard it. You did go take a leak at one point.
Tom waited for you to pee.
Yeah. But no, I was gonna say I know it has a Blu-ray release, but you never know. That is one that maybe if Warner Brothers would open their classics a bit, I know like boutique companies are drooling and waiting for whenever Warner decides to say, yeah, we'll allow this one out. Yeah, we'll let this one go. Because they do once in a great while. And Shout finally got rolling, and I see a few other ones that have gotten to work with them a little bit. So I think Criterion and a few others. So it may just be a matter of time, but Warner has always been very media friendly. So if they're gonna, chances are they're gonna do it. If that's the same thing that's been holding back the Nightmare on Elm Street box set.
Yeah.
Because I told people Shout is not doing that. That was a big bunch of hullabaloo. Sorry that people got their hopes up, but not anytime soon, because I keep hearing from everybody that they're keeping that close to the chest. There's plans. They will release it at some point. The first movie I know at least has been scanned in 4K. I don't know about the rest. Questionable what even exists anymore as far as the negatives, because that was New Line Cinema, and I don't know what kind of condition everything was kept in. So we want them. We'll have to wait and see what happens, because Warner, when they release them, because that's what I heard, they snuffed out that Freddy's Nightmare box Blu-ray that was supposed to come out too. from what I heard. So
Gotcha.
it was unauthorized.
The unauthorized edition.
Well, it's still available on streaming, so go out there and check it out. Will Freddy hold up in 4K? I think so. Those Blu-ray scans they did a few years back, I'm not sure what source they were from, but they were actually pretty well sourced. Some of the best the films have ever looked. The first film I know has always been pretty well taken care of. That was one of the earlier films way back when they first started doing a lot of restoration that did get restored. And had a really, because I think they do have the negative for that one. But I'm not sure about the sequels.
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
But with that, thank you again, Valliant. Check out his channel, of course, if you haven't already. Check out Greg's channel. I'll be on there later. And with that, yeah, take care of yourselves and each other. And enjoy your 4K viewing pleasures. I don't know how else to end it. It's
See ya.
awkward. See ya.